Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to NDISCO'S Village Meeting Podcast and our highlights on African society and culture. Your host, like some people will call, um, as Dr. Maslin and M.OPARAOJI. Today is going to be a very brief one because it's a topic we've already dealt with in the past, yam. And but it was audio, so this one is going into YouTube this time, and it's just a summary to get you prepared as we go into the harvest season of most crops, especially the what I call the king of crop, the African king crop. And we're going to know a little bit about that. There are so many things to know about the African king crop. But today we are going to focus on the eight, what I consider the eight most important things to know about the African king crop. And what is it? It is the African yam. I cringe sometimes when some people who are supposed to know better, especially in the African arena, when they make derogatory statements about yam. They say some things like, I after all, yam is not important. We have cassava and we have cocoyam and all that. Yes, we have all that. We are blessed with more, but yam is the king. Okay, let's get started. Um, the African king crop, for everyone to know, especially my young ones, is the yam. And we call it the African yam because, some other parts of the world call the yam something else, especially in the Western world. When you say yam, they're looking at some other species. But the African yam is a staple crop and it's a cultural icon, especially in West Africa. You see people in Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast cultivating yam in Africa. But it doesn't mean that it's just here. If you go to the first um, episode I did on yam, you will see that even Asian countries cultivate that. It is generally referred to as king crop. Why? Because of its nutritional value, cultural aspect to it, economy. We'll go into this a little bit. In many countries, and this is called that, but especially in the southeastern states of Nigeria by the Igbo tribe. So Ndi Igbo, like we call them, people keep still saying Igbos. We don't have anything like Igbos. It is Ndi Igbo or Igbo people. Okay, if you want to make it plural. Um, the Igbo, Ndi Igbo or the Igbo people consider the African yam the harvesting period as their Thanksgiving period and also their harvest period. And they consider it very important because it links them back to their ancestry and what we call a hajoko. And we're going to talk about that in maybe next time. And so it holds a sacred, you know, place in their hearts. Tondi Igbo or the Igbo tribe, the African yam is actually central to various cultural festivals. And, like the New Yam Festival, Iriji, we'll talk about that some other time. So does it symbolize? It symbolizes for them fertility and to many others, prosperity, sustenance, and more. Okay. So let's look at these aspects that we think are important aspects to this topic, the African yam, the king crop. So we welcoming you to as you listen also, and if you have any more questions on this, let us know. There are many more experts on yam, and we know in African culture the woman is not the cultivator of yam or holds the paramount um, title to talking about yam. But for educational purposes, especially for the young, some of us take it upon ourselves to go the distance we could research and talk about without crossing boundaries. So today we explore the significance and all about this cultural icon called yam. So the agricultural significance, if we might talk about that, first of all, um, yam, like the yam, the African yam is a staple crop in African countries we talked about, and we shared places where we could find those. It's deeply embedded in agricultural practices of these regions mentioned, the Ghana, Ivory Coast, or Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, and all that, with specific knowledge and techniques passed down through generations. So, the one of the really big reasons why we need to continue to think about this king crab is because it has to be passed down. Just imagine if our ancestors didn't pass that down to us, if we would be talking about it today. Okay. So also we talk about the types of yams. African yams, the beauty of it is that it has varieties. We have the white yam, the yellow yam, the water yam, and others out there. So the assignment for you is to ask people close to you what are the various types of yams there are. Each type has unique characteristics and culinary uses, okay, contributing to this diversity of yam-based dishes. And we can go back into that in the future. And I think I have done also some parts of that in my past episodes. Okay. The nutritional value, we talk about carbohydrates, fiber, vitamins, minerals. A whole lot is packed in this item. It's a source of energy and the nutritional aspect we have just talked about. Essential nutrients are packed in that support overall health and well-being. So consumption of yam is very, very okay. It's good. It is needed for our growth. Yeah. So the cultural dominance and significance of that is we hold yam, the Africans, those who consume yams, Ndibo, we hold that as cultural significance as well. And it's central to our various festivals, such as the New Yam Festival, again in Igbo land, like I said, because it symbolizes this aspect, the cultural symbolizes fertility, prosperity, sustenance, you know, in rituals and celebrations. And when I say rituals, is what our forefathers used to do to pray to the gods. Nothing devilish about it on celebrations. And when we talk about economic importance, this is where it is anchored. Yams are a major source of income for farmers, and they contribute significantly to the local and national economies. There are places that are really known for yam production, and even in Nigeria or in Ghana, where you have these places that are also respected. Okay, they are traded in markets and form an essential part of the agricultural economy. So without yam, yeah, there are cassava, there are cocoyams and all that, but yam is the king. And that is what our ancestors really grew their economies on, if you check back into history. The harvesting and storage part, it's harvested by hand in most cases, but now today there are mechanical aspects also come into play. But it's harvested once a year in many places. Some people now, with the advent of mechanical and technical aspects to agriculture, things are changing a little bit. But proper storage is crucial to preventing spoilage, and traditional methods, including putting them in barns, barns, or pits. People dig sometimes on the pits to maintain their quality. So we're going to see some pictures of that as we go on. The symbolism Again, what is the symbolism of the yam? We've talked about it before. Okay, that is the reason why we all admire our yam. Again, this is wealth to those who have come to embrace the king of crop, yam, fertility, like I said before, prosperity in many of these cultures that really refer to yam as their king of crop. Often used in, again, like I said, ceremonies to invoke blessings and ensure good harvest year. So we see little prayers going on to make sure that everybody is praying and saying, thank you, God, for a good season. That's the symbolism. So what about the culinary uses? Yams are used in numerous traditional dishes such as pounded yam, yam porridge, fried yams, soup that we use in, dealing with some kinds of sicknesses, or even in herbal remedies. The yams are used. Their versatility actually allows them to be incorporated in both savory and sweet recipes. So there you have it. This highlights the importance of our African cuisine, the yam. So let's look at some of the things that show. So this one, it's our farm, from the farm cultivation to the storage. You see how they grow in the greenish part. They are in mounds. And the storage we talked about, you see the guy on the right, tying up his harvest until it's due for consumption. Various sales outlets. You see some people, again, carry theirs on the heads, some in trucks, some in wheelbarrows, like the young lady there. People just trade and stuff like that. I talked about the many types of yams on the left. That is it. And the smiling lady just got a handful of ready to cook yams. And as she got home, we have the one that, this is why I called it from the farm to the table. And it's cut up on the left, and look at the pounded yam. I think that is obono soup or okra soup that is people are getting out of that. So, like I said, this is a quick glance on yam. In conclusion, I would like to mention that yam is more than just a staple crop. It is a cultural icon, like I said before, an economic powerhouse. People cultivate yam, and there are people who are in charge of these yams to make sure they're going well. We'll talk about that next time. Ensuring this sustainable cultivation is crucial for food security and cultural preservation. So those of you who say yam is nothing, think again. Yam is the most important, followed by other crops. It's the king of crop in Africa. Having said that, I want to thank you guys for listening again. I promise you this will be short, and I think it's the shortest of my productions so far. But this is like a summary, and this is the preparation for more to come on yam as we go into harvest period, Ahiajoku period, and New Yam Festival period. So I thank you for listening, and I appreciate your subscriptions and your followership. And thank you so much for us also subscribing to all that. I'm everywhere. Um, uh, Go to YouTube and tell your friends. It's free. Have a good day or good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are. Um, See you next time. Thank you. This is your hostess, Dr. Maslena Ndidia Paroji. Bye bye.